Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lunatic Plays. I'm the Lunatic who plays City Skylines. I am back and this is episode 7 of a little build. Not so little. We are revamping. So I decided to revamp Brightwater because I wanted to put in a little bit more detail. I got back into City Skylines like after a while of not playing it, and I was kind of overwhelmed by how many assets I had. I also remember spending ungodly amounts of time doing detailing, and I was like, maybe I should move away from it. And then my urge for detailing took over. So this is part 2 of detailing our Brightwater town, coastal, kind of waterfront more so, town, British inspired. And yeah, we haven't finished it because it's a lot. Yeah, this town looked nothing like what it looks like now. There's still some traces like here around the school area. That's the old Brightwater town. Over there, obviously the estates, the harbor, but we are steadily revamping the town to give it a bit more character, make it look a bit nicer. So I'm hoping today I'll get to finish it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna carry on with this area here. This is where we are doing our kind of like Georgian homes. This is very typical. I don't know, like the town I'm thinking of when I think about like this square, for example, is Dunleary in Dublin. Yeah, that's my inspo. Here, I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of this road. I might not. I don't know. But I just want to gradually lower kind of the homes. So like we had like these 3-story homes, and then I started like a row here with 2-story homes. So I kind of want to decrease a little bit the height of the homes. I don't know if I will replace these assets with these ones just to kind of keep it with the theme, or I'll start blending them. We'll see. And here obviously we need to kind of complete our main street, our shopping street. And this was kind of like the underprivileged area, but we need to probably take a huge chunk of it out, and then I redecorate it. And then I also have this graveyard that I want to do. It's going to be a makeshift graveyard, a couple of footpaths, some fencing around the ruin. So yeah, I just thought that it would give the town a little bit more character, and I kind of positioned this ruin here. I think it looks great. I think kind of like it works with what we're doing here. And then obviously like this little square that we've got, I don't know what I want to do with it. I kind of want to fill it up with more housing. I don't know if maybe I'll add a couple more of those Georgian homes just to kind of break the continuity of the type of assets that we're using. Yeah, let's see where this adventure takes us. And then once obviously everything's done, we are going to yeah, we're going to do these, but we're going to also add road markings everywhere to make it nicer, kind of fit the entire team. I'm going all out, I guess. So yeah, that's what we're doing. I think without further ado, let's just get this little part done, and then we'll move on to the little ruin and the makeshift graveyard that we're gonna have. Yeah, so let's get started. jumping in here real quick, just to give you my 2 cents of information. We've been expanding our kind of Georgian homes part of the town here. Seems to be complete. What I was thinking to kind of jump into, since in part 1 I started this whole thing as like a road revamp maintenance episode, and then this happened. I decided to kind of just completely revamp this part of town, this where all the Georgian homes are, with all the like road markings and stuff, to use as a blueprint. So I sort of started doing that here, as you see, by kind of adding extra nodes to streets and separating out the parking areas and stuff like that. And I want to add things like water spillway thing is like when the rain falls, it goes into like a little crate in the floor. I want to add the crates in the floor, and maybe like little planters, more trees and stuff like that. And then obviously like the yellow markings and the parking markings, and remove a couple of arrows here and there where I don't think that they're necessary. So yeah, let's do that. Let's complete this area here where all the Georgian homes are, and let's use that as a blueprint for the rest of the town. So let's get on it. Here we are. So I've added the parking lots. This is what it looks like. I added the road markings. I wonder, should I go into like the focal view? Oh, let's do it like this. Perfect. All right. So added the road markings. I added all this. I added the trees and the little planters. I added kind of like the parking space markings. I experimented with power lines because a lot of places in Ireland, at least, will have a lot of power lines going through the streets. So I was kind of thinking like, add that realism, add that extra bit in there. But you know, like I added them. Probably I put some footage before, and you know, I just didn't like it. So this is the one thing I'm just not gonna do. I'm not doing the power lines because I just don't like how it looks like. I think that it's good enough with the amount of trees, with the amount of shrubs, with the amount of road markings and stuff like that we have going on, that we just don't do power lines. I think I think this is good enough. I think my sleep is not going to be disturbed. You let me know whether you like it or not, though. I mean, I've worked my ass off. It honestly took a lot longer than I would care to admit. Obviously, like here and there's lines like here, for example, you see that it's disappearing. It's just because when there's the retaining wall, it kind of makes the ground slope disappear, but it's still there. So you see, like the actual road marking attaches itself to the actual ground. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. So in certain moments, the road markings are not going to be possible. That's just what we have to contend with. But this is where we are at. So now the next step that I'm going to be making, and I'm really itching to get onto that graveyard over here and contribute more to our little ruin that we started making. But before I can do that, I kind of want to focus on this area. So I knew I said I want to leave the waterfront be, but times change. Let's redo this. So I was sort of like working away with these little houses. I added a couple of like little house fronts, and this is not like typical, like not all houses are gonna have this little house front, but I want to add them to a couple more places. And also the waterfront, I want to add a couple more those Georgian buildings, and I will insert my inspiration photo from Bray in County Wicklow that totally inspired my every single waterfront I've ever built in City Skylines. Here it is. So here you see the waterfront in Bray. These are the kind of houses that are present. I took this footage from Google Earth. Interestingly enough, Sinead O'Connor actually lives in one of those. So here it is again, and here is going to be an aerial photo of the waterfront. So this is what I'm going for. So now that we've covered that, I want to introduce a little bit more variety here on the front. Also, I want to add a couple more of those like American low density commercial buildings, these ones, because they are appropriate. They definitely work for this. I want to diversify these mixed use buildings so that some of them are going to be with a slope roof, some of them are going to be with a flat roof. I want to work on these little spaces back here, and then obviously all the stuff that we've deleted here. So again, here is going to be a little bit of a mix. I want to have a couple of these British assets that we see by the retaining wall here, and then I want to have a couple of these Georgian homes on the waterfront more so, and yeah, some more like mixed use and low commercial buildings, and just kind of like mix it up, make sure that I have back alleys done, and that's it. I might come in here to see what I can do about the backs of these shops. I don't know if I like them or not. I will see. Like it's been sort of bothering me every now and again that it just seems like too much open paved spaces. So I want to do something there. I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna focus on this one first. And another thing I was thinking to do, and this I might do like now since I'm redoing parts of the waterfront, is since I've expanded this road to a 4-lane road with bus lanes, I am thinking to remove parts of the walkway that faces the waterfront, because anyways we have this huge pedestrian area on the actual waterfront, so we don't really need this pavement here, right? This one, like maybe except only in places where we have like shops and stuff. I want to diversify a little bit, and then hopefully that gives me enough space to add an extra lane to the road, and I would like to create a dedicated turning lanes for each one of the intersections that we have, at least the major ones, and then upgrade some of these alley roads. Like here, for example, I think that the way into these Georgian estates deserves to have like a regular road. So yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. This is what I want to do. Definitely here that we don't have any shops, I think I'm gonna remove the walkway, and I'm gonna use that to create a central lane that it will alternate between intersections. So for example, like here, maybe it will be going that direction, and then it will switch here to provide a turning lane into here. You know what I mean? Because I've noticed that a lot of roads in Ireland actually have that, and I've been kind of like, you know, like since I got my car, since I started driving, I'm just like observing, you know. I'm observing road markings and the road sizes and how many lanes there are. I'm paying a lot of attention to make my town as kind of detailed as possible, and you know, take the realism where I can take it. Like obviously the power lines there didn't work, but I can try with the lanes. So let's see what happens, but let's see where it takes us. Okay, so popping in here real quick, certainly stuff has happened. I feel like I'm such a phony because every time I say like, no, I'm not gonna touch it, I'm happy with it, then I go in and I like ruin everything. I was happy with the waterfront, I liked it, but it was in my way. So I had to delete a bunch of things. Like I started working on these roads and I'm constantly driving around looking at what real roads look like. And I introduced this like, it's actually a 5-lane, and before you come to crucify me for like roads in the UK are small, they are, but also they are crazy. There's a lot of lanes pushed into one. The game has limitations. It's great, we can do a lot, but it has limitations. So I definitely wanted to have the bus lanes here, because we have like buses coming from out of town, we have buses coming from Greenwood Glen, we're gonna have buses coming from the Soviet part of town, we're gonna probably have later on city buses coming here. So I needed to have the Hill Street and the keys to have dedicated bus lanes. And then I was driving around town and I saw that a lot of roads, at least where I live, countryside Ireland, there's generally 3 lanes. So it's like you have like obviously the left, the right, and then the middle lane kind of like switches. So like the middle lane is always like for turning one way or the other, and it has a lot of like markings, like the little parallel lines and stuff. So that's why this is here, and I started playing with it. And I also wanted to introduce like pedestrian islands, like when you're crossing the road between the directionalities of the road, you generally have like an island that you can wait on, and I tried to make it work, but I messed up the roads, and that's why I had to delete everything. I know real roads kind of like widen and narrow, and especially in old medieval towns, but I just feel like in real life it's done a lot more seamlessly. Even when it's not, it doesn't look as painful as here. And this is where I considered pedestrian islands for crossing. I just don't feel like I can make it work in a way that I will appreciate it. So I just wanted to pop in here just to let you guys know where we are. I'm gonna be putting in the road markings here. I use the road builder tool to remove all the original markings from the roads. I'm gonna remove obviously all these like speed restrictions and stuff like that, and we're gonna draw on them, and then we are gonna do all the like shopping areas and housing on the back, and obviously the waterfront, we're gonna redo it. So stay tuned. I have a feeling like the revamp of Brightwater is gonna end up being a 3-parter at this point. But yeah, stay tuned. Let's keep going. here we are. We have refreshed our waterfront. It was a much bigger undertaking enterprise than I had planned, as it normally happens. But I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I did it. I think the waterfront just makes more sense. And meanwhile, like, I do like to generally keep narrower roads, especially, in those like British Irish themed places that we are building. I'm happy that we have a generally wider road here on the waterfront with dedicated bus lanes, because a lot of that kind of bus traffic is going to be coming through here. We're going to have buses coming from out of town. We're gonna have buses coming from Glenwood Green. We're gonna have buses coming from, our kind of Soviet estates over there. We're gonna have probably buses from our main city also coming here. I might down the line repurpose one of the spots along the waterfront to like a little makeshift bus terminal, perhaps. I had this idea after I already finished it, so I just want to leave it for now because it is what it is. And let's just review what we did. So the road, I think we've already covered that. I kind of mixed up some of the buildings here, as you see. I had a lot of those northeast American assets, which they do still make an appearance here and there, but I kind of diversified them with a couple of those, obviously, like mixed-use British commercial assets, and some of these little corner pieces for homes and stuff. Obviously, everything's decorated. Have a look at this one. I love this little parking lot here at the back of the firehouse. It has a little gate and all. It has all the like road markings and stuff. And this is very typical. You'd see that all over Ireland. Here, the hotel. This was actually the first commercial building that I've ever placed, I think, in this entire town. And yeah, it's still standing, it's still going strong, it's still here. And basically the entire town kind of was built around this thing. So I kind of didn't want to delete it. So I'm glad that it's here. I removed a couple of those little advertising things because I just thought it was too packed. And this is what it looks like. Here we have our street. So here I added a couple of those kind of Georgian homes, and here we have again one of the main roads that becomes a pedestrianized road over there. Here we have the trucks. I really love how lush and green and kind of overgrown all of this looks. I think it's a lot more realistic. Like, one of my favorite corners is this one. It's just like I don't know, vibes. I love it. And here we obviously have our more of these kind of Georgian looking homes. We have the kind of main key road that evolves into a mixed-use space as we get closer to the harbor. And here we have a little campus. This is all static floppables buildings. This doesn't have any use, but it has invisible pedestrian tracks, like the road going through it, so that hopefully pedestrians are going to be walking through this campus. And I kind of like, I don't know, I imagine it maybe it's like an extension of this high school that we have here or something. I placed it because kind of from when I looked at the skyline of the harbor, there was just this one modern looking building and everything else was like old British Irish towns. And I just thought I wanted to add something a little bit more, kind of make the harbor stand out a little bit more. And since we had our high school here, I figured let's make something special. So I found this building that's the multi-story media building, and I built a little campus around it. I didn't have too much space, but I think that with what I had, I made it work. You're probably able to see the nitty-gritty details of it in the fast forward track, but it has kind of like gated off. I added this little roof for a little kind of like a pavilion effect, and then I added these office low buildings here. all the fencing was like individual buildings. I tried to use the line tool. Some of them I placed by hand, some of them I placed by line tool. Here it has its own little parking lot like this, again all gated off. And you would see a lot of this type of buildings, especially kind of like New Ireland architectural vibes. You would see this, like you'd have these big windows and these kind of like yellowish painted concrete elements. So it definitely reminds me of stuff that I would see around my town, for example. So that's why I kind of wanted to include it. And I'm thinking to add maybe some office space somewhere here, like just to have like an extra little bit of skyline dedicated to this kind of like New Ireland, New Britain mode of architecture. I haven't fully decided. The next point of contention, what we're going to be building out, is here, the Hill Street. I want to diversify some of these buildings, so all of them, as you see, are kind of like roofed buildings. I want to add a couple of those flat roof buildings just to kind of make that little effect. I really love how that looks, just the diversity of the type of roofs that we have. I think it's nice. Yeah. And we're gonna add road markings on Hill Street as well. We might struggle with it a little bit. Let's see where it takes us. And obviously change some of the buildings here. And then I'm gonna wrap up this area, make it work. And then I'm thinking to detail a little bit more around here. I don't know if I'm gonna change the buildings per se, but I just wanna add little bits and bobs, basically, to just make it look a little bit more interesting. Maybe add a couple of planters, trees, stuff like that. You know what I mean. And then finally, I think we'll be ready to do this part of town to conclude the episode. Again, this is gonna be a long episode. I think the 40-minute episode thing is just not gonna happen. I'm doing my best. Anyways, let's get building. here we are. Hill Street is not done. So I am popping in here because I have 34 hours of footage again, and it's Tuesday and I'm away this weekend, and I want to give you the episode for Monday, guys. I want to do at least the every 2 weeks release for these episodes. So Revamp of Brightwater is officially a 3-part endeavor. I started this as a road markings revamp 2 episodes ago. Yeah, here I am. City Skylines never ceases to amaze me. I know I have a very chaotic way of building, my friends. I would love to be a kind of person who like builds with a plan, and I try to introduce as much structure as I can, but I am a very chaotic person, and for me City Skylines is something like very creative, you know, like I sit down and I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like I look at the map and I you know, my process of evaluating a map is generally kind of like making a plan, but it's not a very well defined plan. I'm kind of like, okay, like port can go there, airport can go there, this would be a great area for blah blah blah, you know what I mean? So you know, but once I actually like get into it and the nitty gritty bits of like laying the roads down and all that, yeah, it's just so it's very meditative for me, and it's like a creative process. I never really know what's gonna come out until I'm actually like in it, and there's the detailing and putting little details here and there, and then yeah, I just get lost in it, and this 3-parter, this is me being lost. So the walk in the woods is not over yet. We still have all of the western parts of Brightwater to do. We still have to establish our bus networks. There's a couple of hot fixes here and there. You might have seen me experiment with some of the UK detached houses, so I kind of want to introduce a little bit more of those here and there, just to kind of blur the lines of edges of the city a little bit. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna detail Hill Street and kind of the city center, and then build up all the ruins and the makeshift graveyard that I've been planning to build for a long time now in the next episode. And for now, we are gonna look at some of the before and after shots of the stuff that we built out today, because we've done a lot. We've completely rebuilt this area here, where all the Georgian homes are. We've detailed it, we've laid down all the road detailing and all that kind of stuff. So that was a lot. And then obviously like we've done all of this area around the roundabout here, kind of like the entry point to the Georgian estates. And we've redone pretty much entirely our waterfront. I mean, literally like this entire road and all of the waterfront facing shops and all these blocks here. And then we did this little school campus extension bit over here. So yeah, it's just like, it wasn't really what I planned to do, but it sort of happened, and it took a lot of time. as you see, 34 hours of footage. This is not a quick game at all. I feel like if I'm going to expand this map, this is gonna be like the next year of my life probably. What I'm really looking forward to is the bridges and port at this stage. I heard that we're gonna get marine industries, and I really want. We might be like adding bits and pieces to the harbor if that comes out. I just want to see what's actually a part of it. And then if we do actually have some sort of cruise ship coming through, we might add a drawbridge. So I'm waiting. I'm really, really waiting, you guys. And having said that, I think my adventure with playing by the rules of the game is over. I've been sort of thinking about this for a while now, and I think that from next episode on we will turn off the money, we will unlock everything, and we will get the infinite demand mod, so that we can just take the rest of the series onwards with a purely detailistic approach. So yeah, I was thinking about it for a while now, and like now as I've been rebuilding Brightwater and really getting into the nitty-gritty details of it and making the town look as realistic as I can. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. I figured, you know what, I feel like I've already unlocked it all. Like, we have so many points, and money-wise, we're probably not gonna make money. We're probably not gonna be making much money, because the next thing I want to revamp is kind of here. I want to do a more realistic looking industrial estate, and who knows, we just might mess up our entire system. So I'll make this a functional city traffic-wise. If we end up making money in the future, that's great. But from now on, this is gonna be a detailing series. So yeah, I started one way, I move out, I move on, I change. ADHD, my darlings. This is what it is. So let's take it away with the before and after shots. Alright, so that is it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you're enjoying this series. I know it's a bit of all over the place. I know, I'm learning. Please forgive me. But yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to finish up the revamp of Brightwater in the next episode. I think so. At this point, I'm fairly confident it will be wrapped up in episode 8. I have some exciting stuff coming, so I'm thinking to switch up a little bit the format in which I do these videos, just to kind of keep things a little bit more concise. So keep your eyes out for that. It's coming, not in the next episode, but possibly the one after that. Just to make it a bit more like, just make it better. Just make it better. I just want to improve myself. But yeah, if you are enjoying this build, like, subscribe, drop a comment down below, introduce yourself, let me know that you're watching. If you want to catch me live, I stream other video games on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, sometimes Saturdays. And we are currently playing Tomb Raider, Dragon Age, and The Sims. So that's really fun. Johnny The Sims is around the weekend if you're into that. So yeah, if you want to come hang out and say hello, I'll be there 6 o'clock London time on the days I just listed. And yeah, the episodes of City Skylines every 2 weeks on a Monday. I found this a good time frame for me to get this sorted out for you guys. And also I'm planning to start uploading my city save files to the Paradox mod marketplace thingy, so that if you want to actually check out the city for yourself, you will be able to, and I will mark probably each upload at the end of each episode with the name of the episode that I'm releasing it with. So the current save of this game, it will be the first one. I kind of just got enlightened to do it now. The current save of this town is going to be saved under episode 7. So if you want to go check it out, It's, what am I gonna call it? I don't have a name for our town. Okay, I'm gonna call it Brightwater, okay? Brightwater episode 7. So yeah, if you wanna check it out and have a closer look for yourself on how I tackle different things, I'll put it there together with my list of mods. That's very important because you might not get exactly the town in its current form if you don't have the mods that I'm using. It's a pretty substantial list, so I recommend that you have pretty decent machine to handle it. That's it for me. Thank you so much. I'm signing out. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye!